Hey guys, welcome back to Advanced JavaScript course with jQuery, JSON and Ajax. Who am I? My name is Kaustubh Kharge, but you can call me KG. I will be covering session 2 of Advanced JavaScript today. Before we begin, let's look at the session outline. In this session, we are going to be covering window, navigator, as well as screen object. Now, you have to make sure that you understand is that these objects are not JavaScript objects. These are the objects that are provided by the browser that the user is using. So let's begin. Again, if you have not covered HTML and CSS as well as the basics of JavaScript programming, I'm going to strongly recommend you to check these courses. Let's look at the window object. So window object represents a window in a browser. So imagine if you open up a new tab in Google Chrome that will have its own window object, and each of these window objects will have properties and functions. So let us go into Google Chrome. I'm going to select the inspect element by right clicking on anywhere on the screen, and I'm going to open up the developer tools and go to the console. In here I'm going to type in window and I'm going to press enter. So you can see the properties of the window objects and the functions that we can use. So one of the reasons for using window object is to figure out the responsiveness, figure out the size of the window to handle the responsiveness of the CSS. That's one of the ways. Other ways is you can figure out what browser that the user is using. So if you want to use the experimental features that you want to use in the HTML or JavaScript, you can use them based on the browser that the user is using. You also get to know what kind of operating system the user is using. So if you scroll up and if I expand this, I get all of the information right here with the client information and the app version. So I'm using a Mac OS X and I'm using a Google Chrome browser. So if you scroll down, it is going to show the vendor as Google Inc. Okay. Now the methods or the functions that you get here are denoted as F over here. And let me quickly show you one of the functions. So let me clear this out. So let's say if I wanted to print out this page, I'm going to say window.print, and it opens up a print tab, and it is asking me to print out this page. Now obviously I'm not going to print it out. I don't have a printer connected, but this is the way you can use the methods on the window object. Let's go back to the slides. So Navigator object is within the window object itself. Navigator object contains information about the browser. It has the state and identity of the user agent that we just saw. It is just a read-only. It can be only used as a read-only, but we get very valuable information from the Navigator object that we can use to further provide a much better and rich user experience to the user. So let us go back and see what we have under the Navigator object. So I'll say window.navigator, and I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to expand. So I have all this information. So I have the app name, the app version. I even have the web Bluetooth. This is supported, I think, only in Google Chrome right now. It's not supported in a lot of different other browsers, but it's supported in the Chromium project. You can see the geolocation. You can see the credentials. If you're using obviously the credentials API that the Google Chrome provides you, you can also check the storage. You can check the service worker. So this is a pretty useful tool that we use to figure out what kind of browser and what kind of settings are there on the browser to provide a much more better user experience on the front end. Let's move ahead. So screen object is usually used to calculate the height and width of the screen. So screen object is it holds the information about the browser screen. So let us go back and see what we have under the screen object. So we'll say window dot screen, and I'm going to press enter. And if I expand this, I get the available height, the available left, the available top, available width, and color depth, height, orientation. So you also get the screen orientation. That's pretty amazing. We can make sure that our design is responsive uh, in any kind of device orientation, either it's landscape or portrait. So let's quickly test this out. So let's say if the device is iPad right here, and I currently have this in the landscape mode. If I change this to portrait mode, let's run this again. Let me expand this. So I get a portrait primary, right? So that's pretty cool. Now if I change this to, let's say, a phone, and I run this, the dimensions will obviously change. So you can notice here the available width and the available height has obviously changed, and the screen orientation again is portrait. But if I were to check out with the Navigator, let's see what information we get on the Navigator. I don't think we'll this is just a simulation that we are running right here. It's not the actual device. So let us see Navigator, and I expand this. Oh, I get a vendor information too, so that's pretty cool. I get here the Google INC, and I get the platform, I get the vendor. Let me check if this is say it's a Motorola. Check this out. Yeah, so this works pretty well. I strongly recommend you check out these different properties and the functions that are provided with these objects. We'll be using few of them in the next sessions, especially in the project. But let's go back to the slides now. So this concludes this session. Let's do a quick recap. So we covered the window object, the screen object, as well as the navigator object. The reason we have all these objects, or the reason they're important, is because we can figure out what kind of browser the user is using, and based on that we can make changes that will enrich the user experience. So in the next session we're going to be talking about JavaScript libraries, adding jQuery, and we're going to be talking about manipulating the HTML using jQuery. So I will see you in the next session. Take care. Bye-bye.